Over here we've got a Lenovo desktop, and we've got a MSI graphics card. Okay, the purpose of it is that we're going to be putting this into this machine so that the person who's going to be using the machine can utilize two screens at the same time. Okay, what you need is simple star screwdriver. As you can see at the back, there's two screws that need to be opened. These ones are quite easy, you can open them by hand, but sometimes they are a bit tight, so you do need a bit of an extra hand. Okay, so just open them, loosen them up. Before you even open, first thing you also just need to check is just to make sure that there is no warranty seals, because with a lot of suppliers, if there's a warranty seal and you break it, then you lose the warranty on your machine. Okay. Now, first basic rule before you even jump into stripping things out of any machines is you need to make sure that it is unplugged. So as you can see, there is no power attached to this machine, so it is safe. Alright. Okay. So this is now what the inside of the machine looks like, and it's going to be quite simple. Okay. So as you can see, the slots that we're going to use for this graphics card are these two slots over here. There's two long ones and one short one. They are known as your PCI Express cards. Okay. When you are working with your machine, always make sure that you are on a firm table or a firm stand. If it is wobbly or something, rather change your location, as that can cause problems. If your machine falls or something, it can be damaged. Okay, so here's the graphics card that we're going to put in. It is a MSI 1GB graphics card. It is, as I said earlier, to allow the user to utilize more than one screen on his machine. Okay, as you notice, it is in a type of plastic. This is known as an anti-static packet. It is in order to prevent any damage to the card. Before you remove the card, make sure that you have completely removed any form of static on yourself. Best way to do that is just to touch the casing, touch power supply, any metal. Okay, that allows that if there is any static on your hands or anything, it is discharged, and you can then work with your card. While working with the card, as you can see, the golden pins at the bottom is covered by a piece of plastic. The reason for that is to protect them so that there's no damage or anything, because if you get any dirt or damage on you, then you can end up blowing your card, and a lot of your suppliers will not swap it out or anything if something like that happens. Okay, so first thing we need to do is remove any plastic coverings. I normally start with these ones and leave the bottom part for last, because that prevents me from damaging or hurting the card. Okay, as you notice, I'm not holding the card in any other spots except here on the metal frame. Again, that's to prevent any static from getting onto the card. Sometimes it is a bit difficult to get these plastic sleeves off, but my theory is the more difficult, the better. Okay, so card is ready to be put in. Okay, just going to put it on the plastic sleeve over here just for safety's sake. Right, so as you can see, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to remove one of these covers at the back here. Okay, so depending on the type of machine that you've got, you might need to unscrew it. Sometimes there's just a little lever to be removed. You just need to first check. Okay, so as you can see with this one, we've got a little lever here. It's easy, you just pop it forward. Once you pop it forward, this comes down on this side, allowing for these three slots to be removed. Okay, so now what you need to check is the length of this section here. This is the part that's going to be going into your motherboard. Alright, so naturally you cannot go and put it inside this tiny one here in the middle, so you'll have to utilize either this one on this side or this one on this side. But because there is already something over here slotted in, you can't utilize this one, so we'll have to go for this one over here. Okay, for that I'm going to be removing this middle partition here. Okay, sometimes these guys are stubborn, other times you just need to look. Alright, so there we go, easy as that. Okay, always keep these guys, they can come in handy. Right, so now when you put it in, always make sure that there is no obstructions. Okay, because if there is an obstruction, it can cause it that it doesn't seat properly, that there can be complications, anything. Alright, so let's line this up. Alright, so as you can see, I've got my card lined up. Now it's just a case of applying a little bit of pressure just to get it that it pops in. If it feels that it's not popping in, then just make sure that you do have it in the right slot. Okay, so as you can see, that's popped in quite nicely. It is seated quite nicely. It's not loose or anything, so I'm happy. Once you've done that, always make sure that you do go and lock this part. Alright, that prevents it. This little piece prevents the card from moving around. So as you can see now, it's in solid. And that is how you install the graphics card inside our desktop PC. Now we're back. As you've seen now, we've set up the machine, we've had the Windows installed and running, but as you can see, the graphics is not that great. We're currently running directly off the graphics card that we've installed previously with one of the other videos, and now what we need to do is install the drivers for the graphics. Normally, when you do purchase a new graphics card, you get a CD like this one with the graphics card. That's because most of the times that some of your operating systems do not have the drivers already pre-installed. So the Windows or the operating system would run on the default drivers, as you can see here. So what you need to do is you need to install the drivers. So what we're going to do is we're now going to install the drivers for this graphics card so that you can see the improvements of the graphics. Okay, the graphics card that is currently on this machine is standard VGA graphics, but the one we installed has got VGA, HDMI, and a DVI. Yeah, and a DVI. Sorry, needed to just check that. Okay, so now we've got the CD in. You need to wait, give it a bit of time so you can read the CD in that, which will then shoot up a little pop-up screen like this. When you get that pop-up screen, all you need to do is you just need to click on the program that it says run. So we're clicking on there. You might get this screen, which is your user account control. That prevents that any malicious programs can run in that. So we know this is not malicious, so we just say yes. Okay, and we wait for it to shoot up with the opening screen. Depending on the processor, it might take a bit long. Sometimes it's very quick, as you can see. It's because of the fact that the machine that we're currently running has a Core i5 processor. Another thing that you also need to take into account is whenever you're putting in a graphics card, always make sure that the processor, the RAM and the hard drive is sufficient to run that graphics card, as not all graphics cards are compatible with all processors and that. Okay, so now as you can see, we've got quite a few options here. You've got the driver, which is going to be installed now. You've got Afterburner, which is a program that comes with this particular graphics card. Google, self-explanatory, and then utilities, and then the websites for this particular graphics card. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the drivers. Okay, and go click on drivers. Okay, so we're obviously there. Alright, we've got MSI and VGA drivers, browse CD, exit. So let's go to, there we go. Okay, alright, so as you can see, we've now at the screen that's going to be the beginning part of installing your drivers. 99.9% of the time it's just a case of next, 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 but there's a lot of times where you have to read and actually understand what you're installing. Okay, so on this screen we are looking at the language that we're going to install. Naturally, because we're English, we're going to go and select English. But if you go click the down arrow, you'll see there is multiple different languages here. English, Danish, Dutch, Spanish, Netherlands. Make sure that you select the correct language, because once you've gone and selected the language and it's not the correct language, or it's something you don't understand, it is sometimes quite difficult to get back and to reinstall. So we've selected English, go next. Alright, installation options, you always have an install and uninstall. Most of the times there's two forms of install. There's either custom and a typical. Typical would be the typical basic drivers. Custom will allow you to add in more advanced stuff like programs, other utilities, that sort of stuff. Okay, so we're going to click on install. Here's your Express and custom options. As I said, Nana, Express is basically just your basic drivers. Custom is more for your advanced users who know a bit more about tweaking their stuff and that. I always go Express. Okay, and next. Right, your standard end user license. Read through it, make sure you understand it. This is basically just telling you what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. Just make sure you understand what's going on there. A lot of people just go next and don't understand, and then when they get shut down or something happens, but I didn't know. Okay, so make sure you've gone through this. Okay, I've already been through this before, so I'm just going to go accept. Right, and then it's going to ask, where do you want to install it to? Now, we have never installed the device, so we need to create the folder. The beauty is it does that automatically on its own. So you just need to click yes, and it will start installing. Again, depending on your processor, how fast it is, this can take very quick, a minute or 2 minutes. Sometimes it can take a little longer. Okay. Okay. Alright, so as you can see now, we did pause it, but it's now finished as it did take a little while to complete. There's a nice big tick which says that the driver and everything was installed correctly. If there was any issues or you do see a cross over there, there is a little log file which you then click over here and it will tell you basically where the errors were and what happened. Right. Okay, so as you can see with this, it tells you about the manufacturer, everything, and it will tell you if there was any errors and where those errors were. So as you can see, final status is a success, so we're very happy on that. Right. Also, to keep up to date with any future developments, more up-to-date drivers, folders, programs, there is a website over here, blogs.amd.com/play. That is for this particular device. Each and every different device will have their own website where you can go for that. Alright, so we are now finished. I can now click finish, and naturally one of the things is when you finish installing a device or a driver, 90% of the time you will have to restart your machine. Okay, so as it says here, actions taken by the Catalyst install manager require a system reboot. Would you like to reboot now? Yes or no? If you have a whole bunch of devices that you're installing that you need to that requires a reboot, then I recommend say no, install all those devices and then reboot when all of them are done. Otherwise you're going to spend more time rebooting your machine. Alright, so this is now done. I'm going to reboot, and when it's finished and the reboot has been done, then you will notice the difference in the graphics on this machine.